Bruce Firestone, and I'm here with my director, Adam Pupchek. One of the things we've been discussing over the last few days is, what does Adam do between gigs? You know, he's an actor, producer, director. One of the things he did to support himself between gigs was to provide services locally to elders who need help. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, Adam, and then I'm going to comment on it.
All right. Hey guys, I'm here with Bruce. The Bruce. So basically, y'all, I loved just coming up to people's house who are basically elderly, and I knew that they couldn't go and cut some of those trees that were blocking their window for a beautiful sunrise or sunset, and just providing my services locally and making sure that they were good and I was good, because we all got to eat, like Bruce said.
And you developed a relationship with these people. It wasn't just, you're there to provide a service, move furniture, whatever, help them cut their grass or whatever, things that they couldn't do on their own or they're struggling to do on their own, but also you build a relationship.
What was that word that you told me today?
Effusive?
Effusive, yeah. Most of the people that I met were incredibly effusive, and they would offer me something to drink or something to eat, and that would just kind of embark on a beautiful beginning of a friendship,
Beginning of a friendship.
Yeah.
And we were talking just before we turned on the camera that in Finland, it's been the #1 happiest country, I think, for the last 5 years. And they emphasize a few things like getting out in nature, which I think is really important, getting some exercise. But they also say that providing service to others, doing something, you have to provide for yourself and your family. We understand that. We all have to earn a living. But beyond that, giving service to others is something that the Finns has been in their culture for 500 years, and it really has helped individuals, because they have terrible weather. It helps them, it helps them become, more successful human beings.
Well said, Bruce. Well said.
All right, so Adam was talking about, service to others, and it was in a local neighborhood. And what I wanted to talk about today was, this is what I call a learning outcome novel. I think it's a genre that I created. And what is a learning outcome novel? It's hopefully an entertaining story that also teaches you something. And this particular book is called Twilight Zoned. You got to put the D on the end or I'll get sued. So it's called Twilight Zoned, and it really involves three leading characters. Virgil Kane, who's from Houston, his little daughter Wilhelmina, who everybody calls Mina, and an architect by the name of Clara Woods. And they meet in a small town about 30 miles east of Boise, Idaho. And it's the arrival of Virgil and his daughter in that area, with help from Clara, that causes the reconstitution, if you will, of a town that's fallen on hard times. Think of Camden, New Jersey in the 80s and 90s. Think of Detroit in the 80s and 90s. So that's the primary story arc. But sometimes I think what makes a great story is not just following the story arc beginning to end, but having some sidebar conversations. And one of the things that I try and do in this book, and it's not for everybody, I understand that. One of the things I try and do is I probably tell about 15 business stories in here, side hustles. And one of them is something I call Workey. And what is Workey? Workey is kind of a slang term for somebody who's a working man or a working woman, a working person. And it's just a working title, if you will. It's a placeholder title, because I'm not sure that I would want to use that publicly. But the idea is that this couple, these two individuals who are in a halfway house in this small town, they both serve sentences. They're both felons. One, a young woman who was convicted of stealing from her employer, and another, an accountant who was convicted of fraud. So he's a little bit older. He's a white fellow. She's a very attractive young woman. She's a black person. They meet at Concordia House, this halfway house. And so they're having this conversation between the two of them, and he turns to her, "What are you going to do after your 6 months here at Concordia House is up?" And for both of them, all convicted felons, it is very hard to find a job. And she said, "I don't know. I didn't finish high school. I have no idea what I'm going to do next." And he keeps on pressing her really to find out what her interests are, where her skills might lie. And finally, she admits, she doesn't really want to say, but she likes to clean. She really likes to clean. And he goes, "Oh, wow, that's really interesting." And so what happens is they develop a plan called Workey. And what they do is they set up a business, they do the marketing, the sales, the scheduling, and they find laborers, people who will do grass cutting, landscaping like you were doing, Adam. but also if people need help moving furniture, hanging paintings, any kind of work done around the house, simple handyman tasks. And they recruit people, not just convicted felons, but others as well, to work with them to develop this concept. So they're really, in a way, renting out human beings, but they're providing a service. Again, they're doing all of the entrepreneurial things around it. And if you think about the numbers, so let's say, just to make it easy, you had 10 Workeys working for you, Adam, providing these kinds of services. Could be personal support workers, could be any number of different things. And they were paid $25 an hour, and you charge them out at $30 or $35 an hour. So maybe you're making $5 or $10 an hour every Workey that's working the system. And if you had, say, 10 of these people working 40 hours a week, and you're making $10, you could figure out, 10 times 40 times 10. Last time I checked, is $4,000 a week. And you're providing a service. And the thing is that this is supposed to be different from, say, for example, TaskRabbit or Uber or Lyft. If you call up Uber, use your app to call up an Uber driver, pretty much every time you call up an Uber, you're going to have a different driver. TaskRabbit is the same. But if you're having somebody come to clean your house, every 2 weeks or once a month, you'd want to develop a relationship, and you'd want to have the same people all the time. So this is a system designed to be very low tech and very local. And I've got a few people in the States and in Canada implementing the system now, earning $2,000, $4,000, some of them a little bit more, $8,000 or $9,000 a week, and contributing to their society. It's a neighborhood service, and I like the concept, and I wanted to explore it with you.